And good afternoon, producer Susan. How are you doing this week?
Well, Jersey Joe, I had the air conditioning on last week and I have the heater on this week.
I know we had frost. The same thing here. It was 88 last week, and we had frost this morning.
Yeah,
So
the grass, I mowed the grass for the first time this season on Friday, and then this morning it was a little crunchy.
yeah, it's can't the weather can't figure out what it. And if anybody's wondering what week this is, today is April 21st. It's tax day was 6 days ago, so we're going from 88 degrees to 32 degrees within the same week. So
And
anyway.
tomorrow is Earth Day. I don't know if you have any Earth Day
Oh,
things on
and
the
yesterday was 420, the big marijuana celebration. 420
420 yesterday and Earth Day today or
was
tomorrow.
420 a big thing in State College, PA.
No, not really.
It is in Denver and huge in Denver. Of course, marijuana has been legal in Denver for a decade, so it's huge there.
Medical marijuana is legal in Pennsylvania, and apparently it's pretty easy to get a medical marijuana
Yeah,
card in
I,
Pennsylvania.
I know. I've got a friend in the business back there, and it was incredibly easy. All you have to do is say, "I got a sore back. I got a
Hmm.
chronic sore back." Oh, you qualify. Okay. All right. All right. So today is Tuesday, April 21st.
Hmm.
No big things happening other than the fact I just heard that Vance didn't go to Islamabad because the Iranians said they weren't going to show up. So we said, no sense me going. But Trump did ex agree to extend the ceasefire for a couple of days. So things are still in flux. We'll see what's happening. All right. Here's what we're going to try to talk about today. Our quote of the week is from an anonymous. I don't normally have anonymous quotes, but this was such a great thought. I thought I'd share it with you. It's about giving yourself credit for the things you have accomplished and not beating yourself up about the goals you set for yourself that you haven't accomplished yet. I think is a great quote. Stupidest thing I've heard all week. We'll tell you about the very expensive treatments and procedures that California inmates are receiving at taxpayer expense. And I think this takes the cake for really stupid use of taxpayer money. We'll tell you about a scam involving Legos and dried pasta that one man got away with more than 70 times before he finally got caught and arrested. We'll tell you when, where, and how the first online gaming event took place. And hint, it took place before you were born. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
No.
Well, so there was a first online gaming event and it took place long before you were born. In fact, it took place more than 100 years before you were born. Did you know there was online gaming before you were 100 years
No,
before you were born?
online gaming, no.
Okay. Well, we'll tell you when it took place. In a story you didn't hear about in the news but should have, we'll tell you what happened to the Washington, D.C. homicide rate after President Trump deployed the National Guard to help patrol the streets of that city last summer. You remember that when he deployed the National Guard
Yep.
and everybody, oh, the mayor said, we don't need you. We got this under control. Remember that? Well, we'll tell you what happened to the homicide rate after he deployed the National Guard there last year. And it should have been national news, but it wasn't. And we'll ask the question why. We'll tell you about a piece of outrageous legislation making its way through the California legislature that would make videotaping evidence of taxpayer fraud and posting that evidence online a crime. You know what we're talking about? Like we've posted these things about Nick Shirley going into the Minnesota Leering Center, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to get a piece of legislation through the California legislature that if you did that and posted online, it would be a crime in that state. So maybe that should have been the stupidest thing we've heard all week. Well, we'll tell you, give you details,
Yeah.
and we'll give you an update on a national movement called the National Popular Vote Compact, and which state became the most recent to sign on to that agreement, which I think is nuts. And our taxpayer leave shot this week comes to us from Austin, Texas, where two guys who were employees of a gun store. So the store closed after work. They decided to go over. Visit like a bar, a nightclub bar, and it's still, it's daylight. And as they pull up, there's 12 guys out in the parking lot, and these 12 guys jump the two gun store employees outside of the club. Well, 12 of these guys jumped the two gun store employees, but only 11 of them survived the encounter. Can you guess why?
Somebody brought a gun to a bar fight.
Yeah. All right. So here's our quote of the week, which again, it's by Nana, but I think it's a great thought. And here it is. I am not everything I wanted to be yet, but I am a lot of things I wanted to be years ago. And that is a powerful thing to realize. In other words, give yourself credit for the goals that you've achieved and don't beat yourself up for the things you haven't yet achieved. You still got time to do those
Mhm.
things. So what do you think that about? Do you give yourself credit for the things you have achieved?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. But too many people, well, I wanted to do this, I want to do that, I never did that, and they're remorseful and they dwell on the things they haven't yet achieved in their lives. I read a story about a woman who was 92 years old, learned how to play the piano. You see, these women are 80 graduating from college. So, you still have the rest of your life. So again, I'm not everything I wanted to be, but I am a lot of things I did want to be years ago, and that is a powerful thing to realize. So again, give yourself credit for the things you've accomplished, and don't beat yourself up for the things you wanted to do but haven't done yet. All right, here's the stupidest thing I've heard all week, and I'm going to play a clip. This is an interview on Fox with I think it's not Brett Baer, it's the other guy, but it's one of the candidates for uh, governor, and he's running for the governor's race. He's a Republican. He stands no chance of winning. Um, but he's a Republican candidate. But he's pointing out the type of treatments that transgender inmates in California prisons qualify for at taxpayer expense. Here we go.
Here's one that we've uncovered. Prisoners in California prisons, be trans prisoners, the ones that Kamala took such great pride in giving them what they wanted at the taxpayers' expense, they now get sent to beauty treatments. Beauty treatments for trans prisoners, leg waxing, you name it. This is real. And there's much more to uncover. 2 months ago, I set up Cal Doge to dig into all this. We're doing it, Rufo's doing it, James O'Keefe, Nick Shirley, of course, the Vice President Fraud Task Force. It's all adding up to total rage building in California. This is what they're doing with our money. We pay the highest taxes in the country for the worst results, and now we know why. This is where it's going. It's another reason why I'm really confident I'm going to kick them out this year.
No, I hope so. I mean, but there's a lot of guys in California that are like, all right, we're giving some migrants a new pair. Not that bad, but it adds up. I mean, it's like, what is it, 10 grand, 20 grand for breast implants? You are going to soak the taxpayers in California. Soak them.
That's Jesse Waters, by the way. So what do you think of a trans prisoner getting breast implants at taxpayer expense in
Yeah,
California?
I see this as a almost a cosmetic or voluntary
Yeah,
procedure.
it's elective. You're not supposed to
Elective. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for.
it's an
Elective procedure.
it's an elective cosmetic procedure. Why are we spending, I don't know what a breast implant procedure costs these days. Was it 10 grand to have it
I
done?
couldn't even tell you.
But even it was $100. Why are the taxpayers of California paying to give uh, prisoners in California prisons elective cosmetic surgeries?
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, we do have a responsibility to take care of their medical needs, not wants, needs. But yeah, that's an
yeah.
elective procedure.
And by the way, think of the president. By the way, say you're transgender and you want to get breast implants because your biological male, you want to become a woman, and you can't afford it. You know what the solution is? Punch a cop. I'm serious. Punch a cop, get sent to jail for 12 months, and you'll come out with your breasts, which you couldn't afford to get if you didn't punch the cop. Think about how stupid that is.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So did you hear about the guy that had stolen Lego sets from 70 Target
I
stores?
did hear about this one. I mean, I mean, so wrong, but kind of genius.
Right. Now, by the way, so let me tell you this story. This guy went around the country driving from state to state, city to city. And what he would do, he would go into a Target store. And then this went from Illinois, Texas, Nebraska, and he would buy it. I didn't realize this, but some of these Lego sets sell for $100 or
Oh
more.
my gosh, yeah.
Anyway, he would buy a very, very expensive Lego set, and he would
Mhm.
very, very carefully with a razor net open it up and dump out. And the pieces, I understand, by the way, they come in bags like bag one, bag two, bag three, and the instructions. So, and he would empty out. He would take all the bagged pieces and the instructions, which again are worth over $100 in some case. And then he would fill the box with pasta, like dried rigatoni. What's rotini, like the spiral
Yeah,
noodle.
the spiral stuff.
and he would fill the box back up with dried pasta and then go back to the store and return it. Says, I decided I didn't want it. And he would return it for full cash. He didn't use a credit card. He always paid cash and got a cash refund. And then he would sell the pieces and the instructions still in the bags, you know, at a discount. He'd go to these
Mhm.
these flea markets on the
Yeah.
weekends. He'd go to the flea markets and he'd sell them. He finally got caught. Apparently, they had one of the security cameras caught his license plate, and the police in California. But he had stolen $34,000 worth of Legos from more than 70 Target stores over a 3-month period. So that's quite. I got to give the guy credit for being innovative.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I mean, it
innovative.
was very wrong, but like you said, very innovative.
Very innovative. So give the guy A for effort. All right. So you don't even want to guess what the first online gaming event took place?
Yeah, I can't. I mean, 100 years ago. I mean, clearly the internet didn't exist 100
Actually,
years ago.
yeah, it was over. Actually, it was 170 years ago on a cold November afternoon in 1844. Players in Washington A player in Washington opened a chess game in the old familiar way with a pawn pushed to the pawn to king four. But their opponents were not across the table or even across town. They were in Baltimore, some 40 miles away, and every move back and forth flew down a telegraph wire. So they were playing chess over the telegraph.
Oh,
And I don't know if you when you play chess, but it's easy. You can just do like uh, uh, P to King four. So all you have to
yeah,
do is a
yeah.
P to King four, or K to B6, which would be Knight to Bishop six. So it's very actually it'd be King to Queen's Bishop. It'd be K. No, it'd be Knight to QB Queen's Bishop six. Anyway, yeah. So they held a chess match over telegraph wire. And that was the first online gaming, 1844, November 1844, the first online game. All right. Now you do remember Trump deploying the National Guard to D.C., right? And you remember that
Yes, I
two
do
of those
remember that. Hmm.
two of those guardsmen got shot. The one young woman died. The other guy survived, but they were shot. And that was the big headline. But at the end of the year, there were some dramatic results, and it didn't get any national press. I didn't hear it. And by the way, I did an online search. I couldn't find any. I did in January, Washington homicide rate 2025. Couldn't find any national news. And here's what happened. So in 2024, Washington, D.C., which has a population of 672,000, they had reported 187 homicides, which translated to a staggering homicide rate of 27.8 per 100,000, which is more than 5 times greater than the national average of 5.1. Again, in most cities in the United States, for every 100,000 people, you have 5 homicides. In Washington, D.C., in 2024, it was 27.8. Can you imagine uh, 27.8 versus the national average of 5.1? It's
Yeah,
just
that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of, I mean, DC is what, 1 square mile?
maybe, no, maybe, well, it's
Two,
2 miles on
two,
the side, so that would make it
two,
4 square miles.
4 square. It's very small. I mean, you can easily walk from one side of DC to the other side in
Right,
about 30 minutes. So
right.
for such a densely populated area, that is
Yeah,
it's such a small geographical footprint. That is a
right.
very high
Right. And by
rate.
the way, with 27.8 per 100,000, that put it in the top 5 most dangerous cities in the United States, 27.8 per 100,000. So crime was clearly out of control. Well, along comes 2025, and the number of homicides in Washington, D.C. falls by more than 30%, down to 128 for the full year, which was the lowest level in 8 years. So, what was different about 25 versus 24? Well, the answer is that Trump deployed the National Guard to help patrol the streets of that city in August, which was only the last 5 months. I want to point something out. That 30% reduction in the annual total was achieved in just 5 months. If you look at the homicide rate for the last 5 months versus the first 7 months, it was down by 70%. Okay, so it kind of gets diluted. Yes, the homicide rate in DC was only down by 30% for the year, but to get it down by 30% for the year in 5 months meant you had to take the last 5 months down by 70%. he dropped, or those National Guardsmen dropped the homicide rate down by 70% in the last 5 months of the year. So my question is this: why didn't that dramatic drop in homicides in that city get the same national news coverage as the death of that one National Guards person? Any
Yeah, good
idea?
question.
I mean, why didn't the media say, "Wow, what a great outcome this was"?
Hmm. Good
Um,
question.
so anyway, just folks, think if you're listening to this podcast, ask yourself this: why did the media elect not to report that dramatic, great outcome as a result of that? And by the way, in Tennessee, the governor down there and the mayor of Tennessee, where Trump did the same thing, they're falling all over themselves, thanking Trump for doing exactly the same thing he did in Washington because it's having a similar result. All right. So let's go on to this California law legislation. Um, they're trying to get a bill passed called Assembly Bill 2624. And Republicans have dubbed the bill, they've nicknamed it the Stop Nick Shirley Act. And we all know who Nick Shirley is, right?
Yeah.
He's this young guy, goes to all these places that claim to be uh, child learning centers or hospitals or food banks. And he's just been, exposing billions of dollars worth of fraud. Well, um, so here's a comment by a Republican legislator. He said, if this bill gets passed, instead of going after the fraudsters, they're trying to make it a criminal. They're trying to make it a criminal act to go after the people who are committing the fraud, said Nick Shirley. Uh, and what it is, they're trying to say, if you take this and you post online and you embarrass somebody, you've committed a criminal act. Well, here's my point. If let's say you take a video and you put somebody and let's say you wrongly imply they were involved in a scam or a fraud, they have a civil penalty, right? They can sue
Yeah.
you. They can sue you
Definition.
for defamation.
Yeah.
They don't need the government. So these people, if in fact they were being defamed by anything, and not just Nick Shirley, this wouldn't apply to not just Nick Shirley, it would apply to anybody. But if you went out, as producer Susan, and you took a video and you say, look at this, I found this person committing fraud, and they weren't committing fraud, and you post online and you incorrectly accuse somebody of committing fraud, and you embarrass them and you sully their name, they could sue you for defamation.
Yeah.
So you don't need the government to step in and say, well, if you do that and you cause somebody pain or financial loss, you've committed a criminal act. We don't need that. Anyway, it's the Stop Nick Shirley Act. I think it's a tremendous overreach by the government, and let's hope it dies a quick death. I also think, by the way, it would be unconstitutional because the government can't, because that would be an attempt by government to limit free speech, and I don't
Yeah.
think.
I mean, I think we should be, not posting it on social media, but using it as evidence to call whoever you need to call to be like, hey, look what's going on here.
Yep. Yeah. So again, I think it's government overreach. I think it's probably unconstitutional. So let's hope it never gets to the governor's desk. All right. Producer Susan, have you ever heard of something called the National Popular Vote Compact?
I have actually.
Okay. Well, for those who haven't, about 5, 6 years ago, some of the blue states said, we're tired because we've had a couple of elections where a Democrat has won the popular vote by, 1% or 0.5% or 1.5%, but the Republican won the popular vote, won the electoral college vote. Because by the way, but in this last election, by the way, Trump actually got more popular votes than Harris, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so their strategy was, why don't we all band together and let's pledge that regardless of what the people in our state voted for, we will pledge 100% of our electors to vote for the candidate who got the largest number of votes nationally, not in our state.
Mm-hmm.
Now, by the way, do you know how the number of electors are assigned per state?
It's the number of people, it's the population.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
it's not?
It's not. You get one elector for every member of Congress. So, for instance, in Pennsylvania, you have You have two senators and how many congressmen? 10, 11?
We have a bunch.
Let's say 12.
Yeah,
So,
I actually don't know how many.
well, let's say you have 12 congressmen and two senators. You get 14 votes in the electoral college. And in Colorado, by the way, I determined the other day, if anybody lives in Colorado, you have two senators and eight congressmen, so you get 10 electoral college votes. But let's say you live in Colorado, and for some reason, um, 4 years from now, 55% of the people vote for, let's say it's J.D. Vance, the Republican. 55% of the people vote for J.D. Vance, and only 45% vote for his Democratic challenger. But nationally, the Democrat challenger, because you got big states like California, New York, and Oregon, and Connecticut, they're gonna go solid blue. They're gonna go 75, 80% blue, right? So you could conceivably have a situation where in Colorado, the people of Colorado overwhelmingly vote for the Republican candidate, but nationally, the Democrat got more votes. Well, the Colorado is one of the states that signed on to this, and they say, "Well, sorry, voters of Colorado, um, we've signed an agreement where 100% of our electoral college votes are going to vote for the person who won got the largest number of national votes. So your vote really doesn't matter." I would be if I was a voter in one of those blue states, I would be outraged, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, but going back to so Pennsylvania has 17, by the way, I just looked it up.
Congressmen or electoral college votes.
Congress people, yes.
All right, and two senators, so you have 19
Yeah.
electoral college votes, right?
But it is based the Congress your Congress people are based on your population of your state. So it
But
is
not your senators. Your senator, every
well,
state
yeah,
gets two.
every state has two. So there's 100 senators, but
Right. So
your Congress people are based on your population.
yes, but the electoral college votes are the sum of your congressmen plus your senators. So yes, there is a correlation. The bigger the state, the more, but it is not 100%
Yeah.
correlation because Rhode Island has two senators and maybe two congressmen, so they have four. But if it was strictly population, they'd only have two. Same with Wyoming. So, yes, the number of congressmen varies with population, but when you add in the number of senators, which is two per state, it skews that a little bit. So, but anyway, so last week, the new governor of Virginia, Spangberger, she became the 18th state to sign on to this national popular vote candidate. And the way this thing has been positioned is if enough states um, sign on to it to where the sum of their electoral college votes equals a majority, which would be 270. You need 270 votes in electoral college to elect a president. With Virginia signing on, they're up to 222. So if they get another 50 electoral college votes, and I don't know how many states that would have to take. All the big states like New York and California, Virginia are already on board, Massachusetts, Connecticut, but they're about 50 votes away from basically seizing control of the next election. Basically, whoever gets the biggest number of popular votes is going to be the president. And it doesn't matter, people of Virginia, people of Colorado, people of California, doesn't matter who you voted for, your vote's not going to count. I would, if I was a resident of one of those states, I would be outraged. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, if you as a elected president-elect, in a perfect world, you would win both the popular vote and the electoral vote, but that's not how our Constitution was set up.
Right.
I mean, in recent years, I can only think of two presidents who lost the popular vote but won the electoral vote. And that was the Donald Trump the first time he ran and George Bush.
Right. Yeah, it does that.
Um,
But see, but they take those two elections and say, if we'd have had this in place, we could have stopped that. We could have had the White House, and that's what got their panties in a twist. And and they're confident they can always get the popular vote. Well, so that's what started this was George Bush and Donald Trump.
yeah,
So,
those are the only two people that
right,
I'm aware of in recent years or in the last 100 years.
right. So, but anyway, so that's what, got their panties in a twist because they said if we'd have had this in place, we'd have had we wouldn't have had George Bush, we wouldn't have had Donald Trump, we would have had a Democrat in the White House. So that's why they did it. I
Yeah, we
hope
would have
they
had
fail.
Al Gore and Hillary Clinton.
And yeah, we would have had Al Gore and Hillary Clinton instead of George Bush and Donald Trump.
Mhm.
So anyway, I hope they never get there, and if they do get there, I hope the Supreme Court overturns it. I just think it's
Yeah, but
a
likewise, though, look at this last election. Donald Trump won both the
the
popular
popular
vote
vote
and
and
the
the electorate
electoral vote, both by a landslide.
both by a landslide. Yeah. So anyway, but that's what's going on. If you live in a blue state, you ought to fight like hell if your state tries to get your state to sign on to this
Mhm.
compact. And let's hope they never get there. All right, you want to move on to a taxpayer relief shot?
Yeah,
All right, and we haven't played this in a long time, but here's why we call him taxpayer relief shot. And this is the sheriff of Santa Rosa County, Florida.
Somebody's breaking in your house, you're more than welcome to shoot them in Santa Rosa County. We prefer that you do, actually. Hopefully, you'll save the taxpayers money.
And we haven't said this in a while, but for those who aren't aware, nowadays, if you want to send, first of all, if you arrest the thug, he gets a court-appointed attorney, jury trial. It's an easy 200,000 for the trial because then you're paying the salaries of the prosecutor, the judge, the jury, and of course he gets a court-appointed attorney. Maybe he appeals it, and then if you send him to jail, it's a minimum of $80,000 per year, depending on the state. In some states like California, where you get free breast implants, it's 120,000 a year. So arrest a thug, give him a trial, send him to jail. It's an easy $1 million. That's why the sheriff said, hopefully you'll save the taxpayer money. All right, so let me set this one up for you. So this is from Austin, Texas. And by the way, I don't know if you've ever been in a gun store, but almost all of the guys behind the counter at a gun store wear guns, right?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
Because gun stores, if they didn't, gun stores would be easy targets for criminals to
yeah.
break in and steal guns. So I've never been in a gun store where the guys behind the counters weren't wearing guns on their
No,
hips.
you're right. They're all wearing them on their
Yep.
belts.
All right. So these two gun store employees now, when they leave the gun store, they have to. You can't open carry, so they conceal there, but they've got, but they conceal. And by the way, in Texas, you don't need a concealed carry permit. If you're legal under Texas law, if you're legally eligible to carry a concealed weapon, you don't need a piece of paper from the state. You just carry it. All right. So, they leave the gun store, they put on a golf shirt or they untuck their shirt and they got their guns on them. So they pull up in this parking lot. There's a bunch of guys in the parking lot just got thrown out of this club. These guys are going to have a beer or something. And they run into this group of 12 angry guys who just got thrown out of the club. And here's what happened.
Austin police continue to investigate a homicide outside a nightclub near East 7th Street Friday night. A Central Texas gun owner is speaking out and defending his employees, claiming they acted in self-defense. KXN's Madison Myers has the latest details, that investigation, and how the community members are reacting.
For businesses along East 7th Street, Friday night shooting is one that caught them by surprise.
But definitely something that kind of, hits really close to home, especially happening right next door.
I walked through the alley behind Cabana Club with an employee from a nearby business who described a chaotic scene after police say an altercation outside the club ended in gunfire, leaving one person dead and several others injured. J.R. Shudo works at High Sign Brewing, just 1 block away from Friday night's shooting.
I've been with High Sign for about 2 years. Nothing like this has happened. It is definitely surprising to have something hit so close to home. We're a really quiet neighborhood, very community focused, walkable.
Since the shooting, Central Texas gun store owner Michael Cargill has publicly defended 2 of his employees he says were caught in violence they were not a part of.
They immediately started jumping on my employees, assaulting them to the point that one of my employees was knocked down, and then several more people jumped in, and then it turned into 12 people attacking my employees against 2 people.
Cargill claims a second employee fired a gun after seeing his coworker unconscious.
My other employee saw that he was knocked unconscious and made the decision to pull out his firearm and stop the threat. My employee did exactly what I would have done. He did exactly what he was trained to do.
Cargill did not identify the employees involved, but says the employee who fired the shot is now facing a murder charge. As for nearby businesses, they're hoping the community is still able to move forward.
Really hope that, people can still be able to enjoy the neighborhood, feel safe, and still come out.
Madison Myers, KXAN News.
Now, by the way, he hasn't been charged. He said is facing a murder charge. I think if the district attorney decides to charge that employee who shot the people that were stomping on his unconscious coworker, I think he's an idiot. If you were on the jury, I mean, the laws for reasonable use of force, they say protect yourself or others
Yeah.
from death or serious bodily injury at the hands of others.
Yeah.
I mean, what a clear-cut argument. He was unconscious and they were kicking him in the head. I
Yeah.
shot to prevent his death or serious bodily injury. I
Mhm.
mean,
Absolutely.
you'd have to be a moron of a district attorney to try to
Mhm.
take a case like that to court. So,
Yeah.
all right, producer Susan, that's all I got. Anything you want to add before we wrap
No,
up?
we were going to talk about the great white sharks off of South Africa today.
Oh, yeah. But we'll talk about it. Remind me to talk about it next week. Great. 60 Minutes did a great piece about
Yeah.
the great white sharks off the coast of South Africa and why they suddenly disappeared. There's some disputes whether it's because of orca killer whales beginning to hunt the great whites or other man-made stuff. But if folks between now and then, you can Google it online. Just go to YouTube, 60 Minutes Great White Shark. So I urge
Yeah.
you to do it. All right.
It was great, especially when you think about sharks being an apex predator,
Yep.
and here
Turns
they
out
are being hunted by orcas.
Yeah, it turns out they weren't the apex predator. The orcas are the apex predators. All right. All right. Anyway, thanks for giving up 30 minutes out of your day to listen to me ramble on about the things I find of interest sport, and I hope you found them interesting as well. If you want to see some materials and story links you heard me talk about today, you'll be able to find them on the Jerzee Joe website at jerzeejoe.com, with Jersey being spelled J-E-R as in Robert, Z as in zebra, E-E, jerzeejoe.com, no space. And to give producer Susan a day or two, and she'll get some of these links up on the
Yep.
website. If you'd like me to email you any of these links directly, just send me an email to joe@jerzeejoe.com. And just remember to spell Jersey with an R, a Z, and two E's. If you'd like to get on the distribution list for the podcast, again, just send me an email to joe@jerzeejoe.com. And if you'd like to suggest a topic or have a question, again, send that topic to joe@jerzeejoe.com. And with that, producer Susan, unless you have something else, we'll sign off and talk to you next week.
Did you look up that other sheriff from Florida, Chitwood, Mike Chitwood?
No, I didn't.
Oh, he's another good, very controversial sheriff out of Florida, but he doesn't take any baloney.
I'm going to write myself a note right now.
Yeah, you said that last time.
Okay, but I didn't write the note down. I didn't write the note. All right, Chitwood, Florida, got it.
Yeah.
All right, you take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, there we go.